is hitting me right now. It's like not where I wanted to be. I haven't succeeded at anything. God, have I even tried? Like, I don't even know anymore. I don't know how to do anything. I don't know how to cope with anything. And I don't know how to, I did this whole growing thing wrong. Like I'm supposed to be an adult. I'm supposed to be able to handle these things, and I can't handle anything. And I literally am just realizing, like, it's been 40 years of this, and like, it's 40 years of just being confused and not knowing, and like figuring things out slower, and like not, like, I haven't built anything. I haven't nothing like to show for this time. I just don't know what I'm doing here, and I'm lost. I'm afraid, and
I think a lot of people feel exactly like this, whether they admit it or not. Disillusioned, drowning, treading water, no land in sight, no finish lines, no clear path forward. And I think a lot of this is actually an economic issue and a comparison issue. And I just want to say, while that video was of a woman speaking about it, I think it actually low-key hits men even harder because there are heavier expectations on men to be successful and provide a stable life for his family. But men often suffer in silence because to cry and complain about it as a man would only push him further beneath the waves. I'm just saying, because women often aren't burdened by the same kind of expectations. They might not fully understand the silent shame that so many men carry. And in a world where struggling men are quickly labeled as dusty, lazy, undesirable brokies, it can feel safer for men to just say nothing at all. I have to confess that I myself have been absolutely crippled at times by the feeling of not being where I thought I should be as a man for the past decade of my life. Only recently have I felt like I've found a bit more footing for where I'm at and more grace for where I've been. But that said, I don't want to make this about men versus women, because we are all deeply affected by this. And I think it's more important to talk about how this is more of an economic issue and a comparison issue than anything else. Because most of us played the game the way that we were told to, only to realize halfway through that the rules had changed, or worse, that the game was rigged from the start, that we got rug pulled. And 50 years ago, that still would have been perfectly fine. All you had to do to solve the problem would be to put in your 40 hours a week at your dead-end job, and you'd have a roof over your head, food on the table, your mortgage and student loans paid off in 20 years, and still be set up for a comfortable retirement. But that game does not exist anymore for most people. The rules have changed. The water levels have drastically risen, and most people really are drowning. And yet we still measure our lives against those old paradigms, and it's destroying our mental and emotional health, leaving many of us feeling confused and hopeless. And then we look to social media, and all we see are the most privileged of our peers, the exceptions to the rules, the ones whose lives seem like movie trailers. You watch them gorge themselves on the fruits of life while you break your back trying to plant a few dingy little trees in the middle of a barren wasteland. Comparison and economics are crushing the souls of so many people today. And just like any other environmental shift, people will either need to adapt or die. And personally, I don't think pushing more consumerism and hustle culture onto our shoulders is necessarily the best course of action. Yes, it will work for some, but once again, those people will be the exceptions to the rule. I think we need to start talking more about how it's okay to be normal. It's okay to work a 9-to-5, to tune out all the materialistic mirages constantly knocking on our doors, trying to sell us something that only poisons us. I think we need to start talking more about pooling resources in our families and communities and relationships. The world sells us isolating delusions of individualism and entitlement, but we need to work together now more than ever to scratch out a foothold against the giants. The big fish want the small fish to be isolated and alone, easy prey, and that is exactly what is happening. Now, most of us will not be able to live out the ideal so-called American dream anymore, and that needs to be okay. And at the end of the day, no one knows what they're doing. We are all just trying to do the best we can with the information and skills that we currently have. Maybe we need less pressure to be constantly proving something and more permission to become what we already are. Not a brand, not a success story, not a highlight reel, just a human experiencing struggle, survival, the unknown, not measured or weighed upon someone else's scales.